Chris Black here with you live in Nashville, Tennessee. Them jeans, what's good?
Jesus, why are you in Nashville, you crazy guy?
I'm getting on the bus tomorrow with Katie. I'm going to see Wilco and Waxahachie tomorrow night and then ride down to Atlanta for the show on Saturday.
So you have a bunk on the bus?
I have a bunk, yeah.
What kind of cowboy cosplay is this, brother?
I mean, I think Katie understands that I'm obviously a huge Waxahachie fan, but I'm a very big Wilco fan, and this is a rare kind of opportunity to, see them up close and personal in their, some would say their prime.
So you're getting a time machine and going back to the year 2002? No shade, Wilco heads.
I'm only saying that as far as their playing and the deepness of the catalog.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like there's.
I opened the Cabernet before I had a chance to fully mature.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. A mistake that many have made. So don't beat yourself up.
Sure.
It's a mistake. But anyway, I'm here. I
felt so good saying that out loud.
I'm going to Rolf and Daughters tonight with my friend Jake that I went to high school with, and then I'm hitting the road. So it's not my favorite city, but it's a city.
Yeah. How Long Gone doesn't need to go on tour this summer. Chris Black tour is going on constantly. It's an always on activation, and I think it's cool.
It's an always on. I mean, once you get on the train, it hurts more to get off. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I actually feel terrible right now.
Yeah.
And
don't give this guy a COVID test.
Actually, it's not COVID. I've developed adult allergies as a 40. Like I never had this problem before. And it's been so bad since Milan. So and I don't know. Cho got this shot. I guess there's a shot you can get that stops allergies for 6 months. Which you know how I feel about shots. Not to get into the dear media world, but
I ain't here for the Pope, brother.
Exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm in Nashville where no one's talking about the Pope. I'll tell you that.
They're talking about Poe up.
Yeah, they're not. The Pope is not on the tip of anyone's tongue here in 12 South, but I know you've been following it closely.
Not at all. Honestly, I mean, it's the same thing. The Pope has always been the same thing as a royal family. It's like something that was created thousands of years ago to entertain people and control them somehow. Like,
okay, TJ, go off. Are you saying that religion controls the minds of its followers? Is that what you're trying to say?
Only the weak, brother. Only the weak. It's a tool.
Oh, there we go. No, I was before we got on, I was reading, there's a New York Times story about Dear Media. And it's kind of like,
what a great segue, brother.
I didn't really know this, but I guess they're kind of like, yeah, it's a little RFK Maha vibes, because it's like they mix up, which is genius, like real doctors and then people that aren't doctors, but they're all saying the same thing as far as hosting goes. If you see what I'm saying, like everybody's saying things like they're an expert, but some are experts. So I think people get easily confused.
So it's a podcast network. Got it. I think that is a great plan, because you have the actual accredited doctors who are saying these facts.
Genius plan.
And then people are like, okay, if I can't believe a certified doctor, then what can I believe in? And then you mix it in with people who actually know how to talk, maybe a silver-tongued salesperson type, a grifter type, a Jordan Peterson type or whatever, people that are really good at talking, but, they only have one thing on their mind, and that's money, I guess, right?
That is money. I mean, I guess it's
getting them clicks.
One of the popular shows is a husband and wife, where the guy looks like a hot kind of like pyramid scheme trainer from Instagram, and the woman looks like an OnlyFans. You know what I mean? That's kind of the vibe. But that is alluring to many people. So I see why it works.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's the problem when podcasts, when you fall out of love with a podcast or a show or whatever it may be, a writer that you like or a band, is when they stop doing it because they seem to be enjoying themselves and they like to entertain their fans, and they're like, wow, this is great. My dream in life also pays me. I'm in the 1% of all humans. It's so great. And then somebody's like, if you start talking about China and immigrants and this and that and doctors and vaxxers and then you can make even more money. And people do it.
People love to do it. I was well, we should also talk about the fact that this year they're finally going to give a statue.
They've been talking about sports gambling. It's insane.
We're obviously, we haven't started our campaign yet, but the Golden Globe for podcasting is coming soon.
Yeah.
And I made the joke. You guys were talking about a bet in the group chat. I put that on Twitter, and people are, people are offering third parties. You know what I mean? We were joking, Bo and Yang are smartless, but we're forgetting, the daily, call her daddy, the Ion Pack, etc.
I'm not forgetting when I made my proclamation that Las Culturistas is going to win the Golden Globes Best Podcast Award in the year 2026 of our Lord. I considered all shows.
You did, okay. You considered, because you're deep in the game, so I would expect you to have thought it through. But I thought maybe, you were just reacting in the moment as we do.
From Celebrity Book Club to Serial and back.
Okay, you've
no pod left unturned with my proclamation, and I know that it's a foolish bet for me to put Bowen up against the entire field of every podcast ever created versus. You pick one pod and I'll pick the other, and whoever wins the $100. But I like a little drama. It's only $100, right?
It's only $100. What's his co-host?
That's Valet at the Cowboy Carter tour.
What's his co-host's name? Matt. Okay, I don't know much about Matt, but I feel like I want Matt to have a big career. Matt does. If he's putting up with that, he deserves to be rich. Is what I'm going to say. You know what I mean?
I agree.
God bless Matt.
I agree.
God bless him. I saw him do something, and he was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when they get the divorce, he needs to get broke off.
Yeah, he's getting that California 50-50. You know what I mean? I hope. Pray for Matt. But yeah, that was a big. But there was a big story. I haven't read it yet. I don't know if you've read it. There's a big story in New York Magazine, cover story about West Village girls.
I saw it, but I definitely did not read it.
I know.
I don't have any use for an article like that.
I mean, apparently it's great. I do have kind of a use for it, but I also don't care. The West Village is the worst neighborhood in New York, and the only person that will argue with that is all women. Mm-hmm. And it's because of Sex in the City, of course, and all of the cute bistros,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it is, I couldn't be less interested in a neighborhood, even though this phenomenon is interesting. So I don't know if I'm going to make it through.
So you haven't read the article?
No, I've not. I was going to see if you had by chance, but I have not, and I don't.
It documents how New York, once a unique, amazing, bustling marketplace of ideas, has become a place where everyone from Scottsdale to Maine and Chicago and Idaho, they all come to New York, and if they're rich enough, they live in the West Village and then just basically set up their pre-existing life, but now in New York.
I don't.
And then about 7 years later, they finally find a guy who has enough money and is bald enough, and they'll buy a house and then move to Austin.
They'll move to Westchester, but it says a new generation has transformed the neighborhood and reshaped the fantasy of New York City living. So yeah, I mean, it is a cobblestone paradise, Jason, but at what cost, as you would say? At what cost?
Well, the joke is on New York, because New York wants this place that would, settle the scores. The streets are hard, so I gotta be harder. Pimps and hoes on every corner, break-ins, fires, crime, stabbings, drugs. If this was really such a problem and everyone was really so upset about it, they would do something about it. But they're just gonna sit back and watch as West Village turns New York into a Stanley mug factory.
Well, nothing is safe from that, and that's the thing. And the what you just described sounds like any major city when it was good, and that's the problem. Is that once the Rivians and the Stanleys come in, it's there's nowhere to hide.
So some people are like, why move to Austin when we can just make Austin in the West Village? And then everyone in New York was like, we weren't going to go there anyway. So as long as y'all don't have any plans on expanding,
yeah,
you can dabble into a little bit of the meat pack. And
yeah,
some people will be okay with Chelsea, some people less so.
We like the breakfast tacos. I guess that's fine if you want to, kind of run that program here.
Oh, for brunch though, wow.
Oh my God, do you think I could get breakfast tacos and fries, or is that crazy?
If we do skyting after, then yes,
Dude,
we're walking home.
we're if I don't get my fucking steps, I swear to God.
Do I know anyone that has a pool? Like anyone? I'm gonna fucking kill myself. I guess speaking of West Village people, I've noticed the epidemic of Trader Joe's tote bags has really peaked, especially in my suburban neighborhood.
Oh, they're like on eBay.
And seeing photos online, on eBay for hundreds of dollars, and it's a cool trend if you're a young person, I guess, right?
It's really not. It doesn't, because what does it say about you? You like cheap groceries? I don't know what, like I understand the New Yorker tote, you're saying you're smart. You know what I mean? The Erewhon tote, you're saying you're healthy and rich and you voted for Trump.
What does the TJ's tote signal?
Yeah,
I think when they started making them smaller, then they became cute, and then
they're cute.
It becomes, I guess, whatever, restaurant merch.
I love snacks is a funny personality, is all I'm saying. Like, I love proprietary snacks is all I can think about when I think about Trader Joe's.
I don't really go to Trader Joe's at all, but sometimes I'll get a frozen chocolate-covered banana coin for a guilt-free dessert.
Oh, delish. Okay, we have a guest.
Yeah, Eugene K is in the building. If you know how to pronounce his last name, I'll give you $100. He's got a new film. Friends of the show know Eugene appeared on our pod a few years ago, and it was definitely an instant fan favorite, heads no type of episode. He's a unique mind. I think last when we spoke to him, it was maybe around COVID time. He was living in a flat somewhere in Koreatown. And things surely have changed. I think he lives in the Vatican now, is what it looks like. Yeah. So, and also most importantly, I mean, he made a movie. It's cool. Dasha's in it, whatever. But he just flew in from Newark Airport, and he lived to tell the tale. So let's give him a buzz.
Hey, let me just say one thing first, guys.
Please.
Kotlyarenko.
I can't.
Eugene Kotlyarenko, and I'm ready for my $100 now.
I couldn't say that if you said it to me 5 times.
Kotlyarenko.
And wrote it down. Wrote it down
Guys,
phonetically.
This isn't a lesson. This is me cashing in on the $100 offer.
Okay.
I'm still living in the same shitty apartment in Koreatown. So when you're calling the Vatican, I don't know if you guys have upgraded your podcast to a visual format or anything like that. It sounds like no, based on what you guys are standing in front of, but this Vatican-esque looking thing right here, this is I don't know if you guys have heard of AI. This is an AI generated image I made of a kind of 14th, 15th century Italian court that I overlook. And it just so happens to perfectly align with this moment. The first American Pope.
Yeah. We are so excited for the Pope.
I want to ask you about this top that you're wearing, because it almost looks like what the barber puts on you before he gives you a buzz.
I knew you would.
Eugene, I have another follow-up. You look like you're wearing chef's whites, but obviously in black because you're a badass, and you're drinking your water out of a spent jam jar.
The Bon
Maman jar. So that's very chef-coded, isn't it?
Chef-coded for the code. This is, of course, a coded episode for the new film, The Code.
We're going to crack this code, brother.
We're going to crack this code. Look, this is the thing. This thing I'm wearing, which, by the way, you might have to upgrade to a visual episode just for this one. I hope you're recording the visuals, sweetie, because people aren't going to understand what the fuck's going on here. I will say a few things. You guys know a little bit about fashion?
Sure.
Correct?
Sure.
Correct.
Sure.
There are certain features to this shirt that you could clue you in, almost like a clue, to quote the film, of what I'm wearing. Now, you see these snap buttons? They're very special type. And then there's this pocket here. I don't know if you can see it.
It's tough. It's tough with your background, but I see you fingering it now.
You see how the pocket slants down?
Yes, a slanted pocket, a slash pocket.
Yeah.
So those two things might alert you to a certain designer. I don't know, but let's leave it on the table. What I'm going to say is this. Before I even got into what they call haute couture, before I could afford to spend more than $8 and never more than $75, never more have I spent than $75. I always did this thing, which maybe is a problem. Maybe you guys would consider problematic. some call it chef core, but at this
Uh-huh.
point, I admit it's almost like stolen valor from the kitchen. I saw chef regalia and things like that in thrift stores and thought this looks super good to me.
Okay.
And so
So is this an engineered garment that you're wearing, Eugene? Sorry for interrupting.
this article of clothing is by a designer like named Thierry Mugler. Okay. And
This diva.
yeah, Miss
Bro,
Devo.
you're a damn bitch. He just said my chef's blacks are from Mugler.
Yeah,
TLE.
yeah, Thierry Mugler. Um, and no, but the thing is,
Eugene spent all the budget on Grail. Damn.
I would never use Grailed. It's way too expensive. I would never use Grailed or Depop. There's no deals to be had there. I prefer things like Poshmark, eBay,
Sure.
Etsy, and then eventually I did discover, of course, the thing that I don't want to say on your show because all the listeners will flock there and ruin it for me. So
Got it.
What,
Got it.
Laura Kaleji, or is it a place in
it's
LA?
not
I'll
a
bleep
thing.
it out.
Oh, you want to bleep it out?
I'll bleep
Yeah,
it.
we'll bleep it.
It's called.
Oh yeah,
Oh, I know you know. I know everybody knows. I'm not saying you guys don't know. I'm not saying the listeners don't know. All I know is that when it, trickles down and matriculates and, when, that extra piss, that extra piss that makes the underwear wet,
I've heard about that. I've heard that's
We
why
don't-
every man blows out the crotch of his jeans. We've explored
Oh,
that.
interesting.
We've explored that on this podcast. Some of my raw denim heads might disagree, but
Interesting.
that's a theory that's been floated.
Well, here's the thing. It's even more difficult for a guy like me from the Soviet Union. Jewish as they come, circumcision's illegal, uncircumcised. So that trickle, it lives on, even as much as you want to get it with the extra toilet paper, it lives on in the foreskin. It's a dangerous game, pissing for me.
It creates a biodome.
Yeah, what kind of pants do you wear? I mean, that's a tough question. You need some like kind of piss retardant trousers.
You wear waders most days, right?
Yeah, you just go fishing.
I need some piss retarded pants. I honestly right now I'm like, I just got off the plane, like you guys said. I'm wearing my plane outfit and I am wearing like honestly piss retarded pants. They're of a material that I couldn't even begin to describe. It's kind of like a honeycomb of fabrics. It's odd. I couldn't describe it.
Maybe a rip stop kind of thing.
If I saw you dressed like this in the first class cabin coming from Newark to LA,
No,
I would be like, all right, what did this guy invent? Is where I'm going with it. Like, what did this guy? I'm like, what did this guy do? What's going on?
Just a new type of fucking egg beater.
Yeah,
This
that-
guy
yeah,
didn't
that's
invent.
the-
This guy
yeah.
didn't invent no. He didn't invent no app. This guy didn't invent no new coin, no music coin. This guy invented an egg beater that you can operate with your cock.
Look, that's how people get actually rich. This cool guy shit. I'll tell you what, making movies ain't gonna do
That's
it.
not
You know what
gonna
I
do
mean?
it.
It ain't gonna do it.
That's not.
It ain't gonna
Listen,
do it.
I wasn't in first class, but we'll give you guys a little bit of a hack. It's a new hack. It's not. This is a hack as of this morning because I didn't realize it. And it might not be a hack because usually you need to verify twice. But this is
Luckily, you got two of us right here, Huge.
No, what I mean is two-factor authentication
Got
from
it.
the source. Now,
All right, text me the code. Text
no,
me the code, and then
exactly,
we'll get it done.
649. Yeah, well, people should watch the code. I'm gonna plug the code every few minutes, just naturally.
You should.
You'll see what the code is about. It's not as
Seamless.
It's not as simple as what you think. That's a seamless ad, isn't it? One of these seamless ads that you've been paid to do, just use the names of companies organically.
I wish.
Yeah. This is such a fucking Uber Eats episode over here. In my chef gear. I'm always rocking the chef gear when I order Uber Eats.
Oh,
Yeah. No, I didn't want to say that. There are a few like shirts and not very pants, but shirts in my closet from like, when I'm going to thrift stores all the time that are really beautifully designed chef things, because the whole thing about chef gear is that it like protects you from the oil splatter. So
Uh-huh.
there's like a lot of like inventive ways to create that like protective front, and it looks cool. Okay, so this is the hack. I flew to LA from New York on Alaskan Airlines or whatever.
Yes,
I found a cheap ticket, and I'm thinking, okay, this is the same as Frontier, Spirit. I'm about to be in for like a nightmare. I knew it was one of those airlines that didn't have TV screens, but I actually kind of secretly like that so that I can like work,
mhm.
and not catch up on my guy Ritchie. I love to catch up on my
You
guy.
know, I hate movies. Guy Ritchie, he gets a pass.
That's what I'm saying. Like I love to catch up on my Guy Ritchie. Like on an airplane is where I catch up on my Guy
I
Ritchie.
like that you're catching up on it when he puts out a movie
Yeah.
every 9 years. But
No, no, you're crazy, man. You don't see. You don't.
TV though,
No,
TV,
no,
right?
no,
I thought it was
Chris. You're
TV.
not. No, wrong, wrong, wrong again, my brother. You are not a cinephile. What you don't understand is that Guy Ritchie is running circles around all the other auteurs. Okay, you don't understand that
Oh.
Guy Ritchie made all the Sherlock Holmes movies. You don't understand that Guy Ritchie made Aladdin for Disney, live action Aladdin. You don't understand that Guy Ritchie. If you don't understand, Guy Ritchie made a movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal called The Covenant, which is not a crime thriller, which is not one of these funny blokes with guns
I
sort
only
of
like the
films.
funny blokes, so that's why I'm
No,
missing. I think
no,
because I'm not going to watch Aladdin.
you must see The Covenant.
Okay.
All listeners of this show must see The Covenant.
Available on Mubi, promo code how long at checkout.
No, no, The Covenant, I don't think is on movie.
How bad? How bad is live action Aladdin directed by Guy Ritchie?
Okay, so here's the deal. I snuck.
Is that you, Aladdin? What's all this then?
Yeah. I was impressed by the little monkey. They had like a good combo between like a real monkey and a CGI monkey.
Wow, that's for the heads. That's real. Okay, you're a filmmaker.
Speaking of seamless.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, no. I look, no, no. Here's what I think. I didn't fully commit. Like it was between two. I bought tickets for one movie. I snuck into the second one. There's about an hour in between. How you kill that hour? You walk into Aladdin.
Mm.
I have to be real. I gotta be real. This is how long I gotta be real. I didn't know at the time it was Guy Ritchie. So I'm sitting there and I am stunned. I am flabbergasted by the sequences. They are really impressive. There are some sequences that go through all along the rooftops, following this little monkey,
Sure.
and then like Aladdin and Jasmine. Aladdin and Jasmine are incredibly romantic in this way that's like almost like 1930s screwball, but you
Oh, I
can
like
tell
that.
that they got a great chemistry. And then I was like, I almost don't want to leave this, but I've like told myself a little bit OCD style that I'm gonna see the second movie. And then I was like, who the fuck made that? Like, who made that? I don't think it was a Guy Ritchie. That explains it. He also, by the way, recently had a King Arthur retelling where they're kind of blokey criminals, where King Arthur like just grows up being a little con man, like little gangster,
Mm.
and doesn't realize it.
Was that a TV show or a movie?
These are all movies. Now, on top of these movies, yes, I agree. He makes TV shows, and I also have enjoyed the TV shows. I don't watch TV.
I like that you agree that he makes TV shows.
Well,
It's a fact, actually. So I don't know.
I agree with your fact, but your fact is couched in obliviousness because
I
you
see.
weren't aware of like the
Agreed.
plethora
Agreed.
of films. Wrath of Man is another one, starring Jason Statham with the heist film in LA. I mean, it's
How do you have
endless.
time for all this bullshit? Don't you have to make money?
By the way, it's not bullshit. And double, by the way, my last 2 years of my life have been shameful in terms of my movie watching. I have gone from watching like maybe something like it used to be like 150 a year was like really low. And now if I can hit 150, if I can hit 100 the last like nowadays, I'm like I'm happy.
Right, right, right. Well, I mean, adjust for inflation, adjust for COVID. We're still recovering. So don't
Exactly.
beat yourself up,
Yeah,
baby.
we're
Don't beat
still
yourself
COVID
up.
recovery. Yeah, my movie watching has that long COVID.
That is fucked up. That is a fucked up thing.
Well, is it because that you have replaced it a little bit with some reality television? I feel like on Eugene's
no.
The Code, there was a lot of reality film music stings going on.
That's true. I asked that, the composer.
Mischievous.
Thank you. Yeah, this guy Dylan Brady, he's awesome. He has a band
Yeah, I know
called
Dylan.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's a producer. He has a band called 100 Gex. He has a record label, and he's a really lovely person. He said, "So what's the vibe?" I sent him some scenes. I said, "Let's do like reality TV music." But way stupider. He said, stupider than that. I'm like, yes. And as
He's like, I've got just the thing.
and he said, and I said, as you like dumbify it, as you degrade it, think about the Pink Panther theme song.
Mm-hmm.
I like that Dylan Brady's. I
Booyakasha.
like that Dylan Brady's publishing deal was big enough where he could do this for fun. That's good for everybody.
It is funny you mentioned that. I basically every single person on the film including me, got a flat rate. Keep the budget low. We all got paid exactly the same. The lead actors, all the crew members. There weren't that many crew members, only like 13 people. And Dylan as well. He came in late in the game, and I said, "Hey, we're doing it like this." And he said, "Cool, man. I get it. He's in the spirit of it." And then, of course, that was before anyone talked to any of his reps. And they're like, what the fuck is this? Da, da, da. And, they honored the handshake deal.
Well,
Dylan and
he's
I
their
made
boss,
Dylan.
so he can tell them.
Dylan never once complained, and he gave me so much time. He's really like
Love that.
so beautiful, and I hope no one ever exploits him like that again. I mean, it's not really exploitation because every single person was paid the same, but in terms of, I guess, what he deserves, I hope no one ever. I hope he gets paid, commensurate with his skill, which is very high, and I hope every person who worked on this film gets paid commensurate with their skill, which is very high, including fucking me. Including fucking me. I hope I get paid one day commensurate.
I have some questions.
Okay.
I have some questions. Who gave you the money to do this to begin with?
So one of the reasons why I haven't been able to watch movies the last 2 years is because I kind of got like full-time job. And of course I've had many full-time jobs over the years, being an editor, an art department. I worked at a 3D company. I had all sorts of like kind of horrible corporate jobs that I eventually quit. But now basically what happened is Spree was the first film that was produced and financed not only by Drake, it was partly financed and produced by Drake, but also by a company called Spacemaker.
Shout out to our Dream Crew family. They're down right now, but they're not.
I see the vision, broski. I see the vision, broski.
Hey, let me just say this.
Crody, this is a sick script.
Working with the people at Dream Crew for Spree was like a delight. I don't know if you guys probably never had a chance. You guys probably never had a fucking chance to deal with like quote unquote film execs. They're some of the worst. They're the worst people because they need to justify their existence by flexing their taste, which is 0 to none.
I've watched The Studio on Apple TV.
Oh, I haven't
get
seen
it.
that.
I get it. I totally understand now.
You're probably too close to it.
You're too close to it.
I'm too close to it. Their taste is nil balls, and their confidence in flexing is high balls. So it's a horrible combination. So
combo.
With Dream Crew, those guys, I think because they come from a music background where you respect the musician, you just try to support them and surround them with other people who can like make it better. Their input wasn't like fix this, do this. Their input was like, we like this.
Great.
So that's exactly what a fucking filmmaker, an artist wants to hear. We like this.
You don't want to hear, what if we did this?
Fuck
and
no.
It's never
I thought part of the film, I thought part of the fun of the filmmaking process as an auteur is to argue with the suits about your vision. I thought that
collaboration.
Was kind of, hell no. I love collaboration, but when it comes from people who don't watch movies and don't live and breathe movies and certainly are not in the trenches, I could give a fuck. And I'm actually really bad at manipulating and lying. That's why I remain independent.
That's not true. I've talked to some of your exes and they said you're really good at that. That is not true.
Manipulator.
That's not true. Let's get some of my exes on the phone right now and ask them.
Well, so wait. So you got a job. I want to hear about your
right.
job.
So I am like basically, I guess 40 hours a week is full time. I'm like the full time producer at this company, Spacemaker.
Okay.
I joined the company 2 years ago because I saw I kind of liked all the projects they were doing after Spree, and I kind of, connected them with some of the filmmakers that I'm friends with and stuff. And the guys there, Alex and Ricardo, have become like my best friends, and we hang out every day, and at least virtually we talk every day. and we go through the trials and tribulations of film producing, which ain't easy. I do not begrudge any producers out there. They're very different than studio execs. Producers are the people in the trenches with you. It's
a different kind of slime, but yeah, I'm not mad.
Are you able to work from home, or do you have to go to Santa Monica a few days a week?
We have no office. We keep our costs like insanely low. We have no overhead, but
Jason, we're super nimble. Actually,
we actually got into a huge fight recently where this guy was trying to this fucking rep was trying to really fucking fuck us for some rate. And we're like, look, we got your client fucking business class the day before. And he's like, you guys are producers. You fucking fly first class. We fly economy. Okay, man. Our overhead at our company is low. We want all the fucking money to end up on screen in the movie.
But Eugene, what if maybe you thought about yourself for a second? You know what I mean? I love that
I can't do that. I can't do that. Okay, I do think about myself because how do I get the money to make my movie? So I feel like a weird monk doing penance for God. It's like if I put all this hard work and don't sleep at all and don't ask for anything in regards to these other people's movies that I'm helping out with, then when it's time for me to make my fucking movie, I can shamelessly ask for, the dirt cheap rates that I need to make the code,
You don't feel so bad making that ask.
I don't feel bad. And this is all personal. Everything's personal to me. Now, if I get some studio ass system and all the rates are set and my agents can do their shit and all that, I'm running away. I'm Mr. Moneybags. Take me to the bank, get me the Lamborghini.
Cha-ching.
When Team Huge finally comes through with some of those big deals.
Yeah. Where the fuck is Team Huge? Let's get the X's on the show right now. Let's get my fucking reps on the show.
I thought you said it sounds like you have a large team working for your success. I mean, if you want to shout anybody out at
Yeah.
several agencies.
Yeah, you are the people's champ, which is why you're a two-timer on How Long Gone. Because you have a, and it's not because I think that you're a manipulative person.
Well,
I think people really just love your energy and your vision, and they want to be a part of the ride.
Yeah, I don't care what the movie's about. I just want you to do it.
I know, Chris. Did you even watch it?
No, of course not. No,
I asked
no.
you twice. I said, "Hey, man, I got tickets for you. Live in New York. It looks like you live in like a hotel room. Are you like living in a You live in a boutique hotel?
No, I'm in a hotel. I'm in Nashville right now.
Okay.
I would have maybe for an IRL experience, but I can't watch a screener on a laptop. I just can't do it. If I would have come to the theater.
Since Jason saw it, Jason can tell you it actually probably would look pretty interesting on a laptop. What do you think, Jay?
No, I'm not. No, it's not that I'm like I need to see it in 70 millimeter, with popcorn. I
was able to screen mirror it to my Samsung flat screen.
I can't concentrate.
It's like one click of a button.
Yeah, I can't sit through a movie.
I know, who can, but the point.
I love you.
No, here's the thing, sweetheart. I make these movies for people who can't sit through a movie. But yes, they are constructed, conceived, and visualized so that you are not even tempted to look at your phone because there's so much shit going on screen that emulates the same brain, like desires that are your phone like has implanted in you, so that you fucking have to. It's activating all the same shit. But you're getting a narrative, you're getting characters, you're getting laughs, you're getting maybe a few tears.
This is actually a good pitch. I have to say that is interesting and a good approach.
Yeah, because I would say half the film you're just looking at what you would see on your phone, except Eugene is in control of what is on your phone, and oftentimes whatever Eugene has on the phone is quite interesting.
Okay, so
you're quite entertaining.
So you're saying Red Scare Patreon is just on the phone and I can see it. That's it.
I think. Well, I mean, it's really interesting you said that because it is a slice of like modern internet life, and it's like you have a certain amount of check boxes that you need to hit. I need a little bit of Twitter, I need a little Instagram, I need a little porn, I need a little news, I need a little this, and you run it. It's not like here's the part where we do the porn scene and here's the part where we do the TikTok scene. It flows in and out seamlessly the entire time. So your attention span really is kept. I never looked at my phone a single time.
Thank you, man. Let me pose, and that's a huge accomplishment in today's day and age.
We'll get the lie detector out later, but sure, I believe you for now.
I was doing foam rolling and some recovery while I was technically multitasking.
Look, working on mobility doesn't mean working on your mobile. We know those are two different things, and I would like to. I just wanted to make that very clear.
That
was surprisingly witty. Like, do you guys set that one up ahead of time or something?
Just the first of many traps you've fallen into, Eugene.
Well, it was surprisingly witty, but also it had a kind of Jimmy Fallon-esque patina, if you know what I mean. Let me say this. Just for you guys and for audience and for Chris who hasn't seen the movie, and it's actually good that you haven't seen it because then you're almost like the audience surrogate. And then Jason is kind of like the converted. Okay, so it's perfect. Do you not derive, and Chris, you live in New York City. I'm not trying to dox you or anything, but you live in Manhattan. Is that true?
That's true. That's true.
Okay. And I'm not trying to dox you. It's probably in a cool neighborhood. Let's say you live in the heart of Times Square. I'm not trying to dox you.
I do not live in the heart of Times Square.
I know. I knew you'd say that because you don't want people to know the truth. It's fine. So don't worry about it. We'll catch you at the Metrograph.
We're just speaking hypothetically. Don't worry, Chris.
5 years from now, Eugene retrospective after he dies. Okay. So here's the thing. Do you not ever derive pleasure? And I know you often take probably Uber XLs and cabs, but once in a while you deign to get onto the subway,
I
I
love the
assume.
subway, actually. I have an
Okay.
efficiency kink, so I'm trying to get there as fast as
Oh,
possible.
I see.
I'm actually the one who doesn't do the subway, but that is one
Well,
thing.
you live in LA.
Yeah,
Jason, you live in LA, don't
yeah,
you?
I do. But when I go to New York,
I see.
eh,
Well, may I recommend next time you go to New York, I was just there, take the subway. One of the greatest pleasures of modern times is standing, between the doors and looking over the shoulders of
Oh,
people
yeah.
who are on their phones, and you can
Oh,
see them playing
you're
their
speaking my language, you.
exactly.
This is
They're playing Temple Run. They are texting their girlfriends or their husbands. I need your cock, sweetie. Or we must
Eugene,
kill
hold
the
on.
children, my dear.
It's
Things like
it's crazy you're saying this
it's
because today on my flight to Nashville,
yes.
the guy in the seat in front of me had his font on 100,000.
Yeah, of course.
And
That's the best.
he was a regular, he was like a businessman, like looked like a consultant, KPMG employee,
Yeah, yeah, they
just
love it.
fully talking about getting bent over by his man while he wears cowboy boots
Correct.
because he was in Nashville.
Wow.
And I was like, this is good. This is what I'm talking about. It's
So I
amazing.
have noticed this over the years. I'm a filmmaker, so I try to observe the world through a cinematic bent. And I say,
Mm.
this is the arc of voyeurism, right? Like, cinema is all about the kind of voyeuristic, like, potential for the viewer to be engaged in things we don't normally see. And it is like shameful and obvious to me that you wouldn't incorporate that into a movie. And so from maybe over 10 years ago, I have been incorporating these looks into the naughty bits and into the very personal possibility of seeing other people's phones, OPP, other people's phones on screen.
Famously.
And it is, I think, a successful set piece that I have explored through, my last four movies.
I agree. You've become the master of that set piece, I would say.
Thanks. And I think I've reached kind of like my peak here on this one, and I don't really plan. I'm moving on to like more traditional cinema after this movie, but I think I've figured out all the things I've been working on the last, 15 years in this movie.
I would say, without giving any spoilers away, I would say the end credits are kind of your love letter to that particular style. That would be your magnum opus. That's your white album of
Thanks.
phone shit.
Thanks. And it's full circle, I think, with my first movie, Zeros and Ones, which I finished 15 years ago. It's coming out on Blu-ray, another plug, in a few months. But the opening credits of that movie are like a computer boots up, and then all of like the icons and the desktop apps open up. And so you get like the credits in that movie there. That was like the first thing I ever did. And now here's like kind of the
Hmm.
last thing I ever did in this style. And now I'm ready for my Scorsese flick.
So what do you mean? Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna go Nancy Myers downtown, and I like that
No, that's not
idea.
the vibe. My movies do have a Nancy Myers vibe. This is my third, I guess you'd call it relationship comedy. Some call it a rom-com.
Yeah.
I don't know if you really call it that, but this is
I do either.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's a classic style of film, a rom-com, but I haven't really seen a film that captures the, tackling the subject of how relationships were affected during COVID
Yeah.
in a way that's like a comedy and also quite serious and dealing with like as real and honest of situations as possible. It's not just like an Adam Brody Netflix comedy oopsie daisy thing,
Now here's the thing the viewers will never know. But I knew going into this shit, the look on Chris Black's face when you said COVID is, of course, the look that I knew and that motherfuckers would do if you ever told anyone it was a COVID movie. So I've never summarized it as a COVID movie. I've never led with COVID because to me, this is my pitch. You want to hear my pitch for the film?
Yeah, yeah.
A couple who's paranoid that the other person is trying to cancel them sets up hidden cameras around their house to try to entrap the other person into problematic behavior as a form of insurance. And in the process, may or may not fix their relationship. So, like, there's no fucking COVID in that. It's about cancel. It's about
Right.
little sneaky little trapping. Hee hee ha ha. We all know how it feels. Paranoia.
You made like Epstein fun.
Don't say that. That's the quote. That's the quote for the poster. Jason Stewart, Epstein fan, says this is finally a film that gets that is finally a film that gets Epstein's fun factor right.
Well, just the theme of blackmailing people with hidden cameras, doing
Yeah.
cancelable acts, or potentially worse.
Right, correct.
But that's a subject that is very dark and eerie, and the more you think about it, the more troubling it becomes. And you
Diddy-bo.
made it fun.
I bet Eugene's been on some questionable private planes
well.
in his time, but I don't want to.
Fuck
I don't want
no.
to push on
Fuck.
whose it was.
I'm comfortable, and this isn't like a challenge for people listening to try to cancel me, but I'm comfortable making a film that is making fun of canceled problematic people and also making fun of the mechanisms of cancel culture.
Yeah.
Because I generally view myself as a person who's very transparent. Obviously, I've hurt people along the way. Who hasn't? It's human. You don't do it intentionally. You try to hurt as few people intentionally as possible in life, and then you can live with. And then you can live with yourself. And it's very hard, But I've never been on these like in these evil places. And by the way, what isn't evil? It's very, I believe everything now. But like, what I mean? They talk about fake news. I actually believe
Now we're
all the
talking.
news I hear.
What about house music, bro?
What do you mean? I believe house music. I mean, what are you saying? It doesn't exist? It exists.
Believe house music is a rallying cry for sure.
So you asked name a thing that isn't evil. And I made a joke that sort of electronic dance music perhaps is pure of heart.
Oh,
And we all know that's not true, Jason, but I like where your head's at.
It was kind of, you made that joke in the dead zone between being a zinger and a callback. It wasn't exactly after I'd said the thing, but it wasn't like
it's a twinger.
Yeah, that's not a real word, but yeah,
it's an in-between zinger.
Oh,
okay, sorry
twinger.
for interrupting.
Not at all. COVID this, cancellation that. It's a great flick. I think it'll be out. Tonight we're showing it in Ojai, but I'm sure this episode won't be out tonight. It'll be playing in New York.
Who are you showing it to in Ojai?
I don't know, but we already have 70 pre-sold tickets, and I think the theater only has 100 seats. So people are going goo goo gaga for the code. I don't know.
They're making a weekend trip out of it. We're getting a babysitter, and we're getting bringing the good bottles of wine.
I'm having some ramps at Rory's place, and then going to see
Ramps is
Eugene's flick.
What if we had like half a mushroom chocolate and watched The Code 2025?
Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't even say. I just posted. Oh, this is for the surrealists. This is for the hikers and the farmers, the surfers and the charmers. But I didn't even get into like the dosers. The dosers and the and the trippers. I didn't even do that.
You did.
I would love to see you in. I just want to see you walking around Ojai. Really.
Well, okay. So no offense to you guys, this is my big podcast today, and talking about ramps. This is me ramping up for the next one, which is also my second time on Bret Easton Ellis's podcast.
Oh, okay.
So I got that later. And then I have to drive up to Ojai, and I'm desperate to make the Q&A because they couldn't push the showtime.
So you have a press tour going straight into from Hell on Gone to Bret Easton Ellis, available on Patreon only. Zip into the car straight up to Ojai. If there's no traffic, you'll make it.
Correct.
The life of a Hollywood movie star.
Q&A.
This is exciting. This is the stuff that gets the blood pumping.
How fast does the Maserati go? Can you really push it, or is it going to be?
My dear friend Brandy, who also produced one of my films, A Wonderful Cloud, she asked me like a few weeks ago. She said, "I might go to Ojai. Do you want to ride?" I said, "I would love that." We haven't caught up in like a while, so it'll be a great opportunity to catch up. / I'll probably have to download this edit of a movie I'm producing, and while she drives, I have to make notes and watch it. So it'll be a great catch up.
Do you? So I was thinking. I don't want to talk about COVID too much, so people,
Wait. Can I just say one thing that's amazing because people won't get this?
Yeah.
Jay Stu, he stands during the show.
Oh, don't worry. He lets people know that. We've talked about
he does? Sorry.
I don't talk about it that much.
No. I don't mean it like that. I just mean we've discussed it before because there was a point where
I think it's great.
You didn't
He's
have
like
that.
He's like in the recording studio.
Contraption.
He looks like he's about to, belt out an Amy Winehouse cover.
That's why we call him J Unit when he's standing up.
Yeah, I'm always about to drop a Sweet 16 on the radar.
This is on the radar. If we turn on the green light, it's over.
These are all terms I don't understand. There's a whole universe of kind of fuckboy terminology, hype beast type stuff that you guys work it with. That
Have you ever listened to any rap music, Eugene?
Rap? Yeah, of course.
Okay, I didn't know.
I recently listened to the guy Dave Blunt's, who I guess is responsible
My
for
man
the
can't
new.
put down the cup. That's our favorite artist on How Long
It
Gone.
was weird. It was weird. The two things we listened to. I was just at a friend's house. He turned it on YouTube, and he put on the Dave Blunt's, and then we one of the movies I produced is called Magic Farm, and one of the stars is Alex Wolff. And I guess when he was a kid, he was in a TV show with his brother called Naked Brothers Band.
Yeah, yeah. No, that was big.
I
Like
don't
that
know
was a
what that
very
is.
big.
And so we were alternating between like a Dave Blunt song and a Naked Brothers Band song. And we were having a good time.
That sounds like a twisted mindfuck.
It was like 4 a.m. and it was a strange assortment of people in like a weird apartment. But it was not a weird apartment like a weird airplane like you were talking about. It was a weird apartment, just, it's innocent.
Sure.
Innocent
Regular
weird.
weird.
What,
Yeah.
in your professional opinion, what
Yeah.
percentage of Airbnbs do you believe have hidden cameras in them?
Oh, I don't like to think about stuff
Great
like
question.
that. I would say
Nobody does.
I would say between 15 and 20%.
Yeah, sounds about right. Do you think there's anything that Airbnb can do to shake that stigma? I feel like that's like their the nail in their coffin. That's the excuse everyone uses why they're
That's not the
afraid.
excuse. The excuse everybody uses is I have to pay for a cleaning service,
Yeah,
but
that's
also
true.
clean up myself.
There's a long list of excuses, but
If you want to see me getting out of the shower, that's fine, but I ain't taking out the recycling. That's fucking
Yeah.
that's where I draw the line.
Yeah.
you can see my hole and my pole. I ain't doing a dish.
No, I was just gonna say we brush our teeth before we go to the dentist. It's a little more like shame oriented than just like a job on a piece of paper. It's kind of like how much shame do you have? But maybe you have no shame, Chris. Maybe you're gonna mess the place up on purpose. The last
Oh,
the last 10 minutes.
I wish that was the case.
You wish you had no
I
shame.
wish that was the case. My life is nothing but
What
shame.
are you doing? What are you doing in Nashville? Just checking out different chicken places and doing taste tests and stuff.
Yeah, I'm doing one of those the bars that are on wheels and you pedal.
Oh, we pedal bar. Yeah,
Pedal
yeah.
pub. I'm doing a pedal pub, and then
It's me and the girls.
just gonna lay out by the pool. Yeah, have some mimosas. Nothing crazy.
I
Nothing
guess
crazy.
a few years ago, I'm always a few years behind the times when it comes to lame things. I guess a few years ago, Nashville was considered the kind of bachelorette party capital of America. Is that why you're there? Are you getting married?
No, no, no. I'm going to a show tomorrow. Like a band is playing. That's why I'm here.
Oh, nice. You're in it, or you just follow them around? You're like a groupie or something.
I'm a groupie. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I'm not in it. I famously can't play an instrument. I don't know if you're sick with the guitar. Can you play glockenspiel?
I'm not good at anything. One time I saw someone playing a banjo when I was 19 in college. I thought that would be easy and fun, and I'm not good at anything. Oh, it's famous that you're bad at music. Who's it
No,
famous?
that's it. That was a joke.
Oh,
That's a
I
I'm
see.
kidding. I'm kidding.
What would you say the name of the band? Almost like a promotion.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. It's Waxahachie and Wilco.
Oh, who talked about it? You and Jason.
Yeah,
Okay.
before you got on. Yeah.
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
intro.
Oh, nice. Nice.
The listeners
sorry.
will know, but you won't.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I apologize. I was breaking the fourth wall.
No, that's cool, man.
Eugene,
Sure.
why did you have your lead characters wearing clogs, laceless shoes?
Oh, yeah.
What's up? Are there any Easter eggs in the clogs?
Yeah. I kind of enjoy meeting with the costume designer and with the actors about who the character is through their clothes. And I think that's a really great way for actors to figure out who they are, how they present to the world, whether it's comfort or optics, whether it's generic or name brand, whether
Sure.
it's whatever. And one thing interesting that I've been doing a lot of Q&As with the actors. One thing interesting that Ivy, the young actress, comedian, diva, she's the new diva on the block, in my opinion, who
Yeah,
plays
I agree.
Colette in the film. She was saying that before we started the film, we went and made that weird art film that's in the movie together, like her character's movie within the movie.
Rules of attraction style.
I went to her college campus, actually. She was a college student, and we pulled all her college friends, and we made this kind of fake Ryan Tricarton movie, this video artist who puts the face paint on his friends and speeds shit up, and they say kind of transgressive signifiers of queerdom and stuff.
It's really funny.
Yeah, thanks. So, she said that making that helped her understand who the character was, and that she wants to, and I'm going to steal this from her. She wants to figure out how in the future how her characters use social media so that she can know who the character is. And I'm going to start doing that with future characters too. Like thinking not only about what clothes they wear, but also how they present online, whether they're active, whether they just have a fucking flip phone, whether, they're funny, they understand memes or not, or they're, whatever.
Are they posters? Are they lurkers? Et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly. Are they reply guys, or do they go viral?
I guess.
Chris, are you okay?
Chris is having some
okay.
allergies right now, Eugene.
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah.
I was gonna say these boutique hotels in Ashland tours for their black mold.
Yeah, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die tonight for sure. But this is what we do. This is
check the vents for that BM, Chris. Watch out. Maybe get a little COVID mask on.
Do not talk about my fucking BM like that.
When you were a teenager watching that Wilco documentary, "I Will Break Your Heart" or whatever it's called, did you think my ideal death is at the Wilco concert? And so
heavenly way to die.
I never thought. I think if I die, I've said before, I want to crash in a helicopter or a plane. That's the coolest way to go, I think, for me.
It was so tragic when we were showing one of the re-screenings at Sundance. We came out, and the second the lights went up, someone said before the Q&A, "Oh my God, Kobe just died," and everyone was shocked, and it was horrific. And I don't think it was cooler because he died in a helicopter. I think it was more tragic.
Yeah, tragic is cooler. I don't want Kobe to die in his sleep. That's fucking boring. If he really is Mamba, he's got to go out.
Kobe never said, "I want to die in a helicopter." When Kobe died, it was very close to my house, actually, and it was very tragic because he was just trying to go someplace. Chris has proclaimed it already.
Well, he forced the pilot to fly in not ideal conditions,
which is very rehearsal coded right now, isn't it, Eugene?
But this is the beautiful part, actually, and this is the part that's tragic and emotional and beautiful. And I guess a helicopter is involved. The reason he forced it, right? The reason he took it, he wanted to go to his daughter's basketball game.
I'm familiar with what he was doing. He was pressuring his daughter to follow in his footsteps.
Oh my God!
I get it.
Why do you have such a
negative?
Why do you have such a negative narrative? It's so beautiful, tragic, and poetic.
I think we all know that Kobe, as great as he was probably a monster.
You think?
I don't think he's known for being a sweet guy.
There were allegations, but I think he beat the allegations. I don't know.
No, not the allegations. I just mean
Chris said this goat's bucking.
I'm just saying, I think these guys, it's Michael Jordan shit. He's a monster and everybody knows it, but he's still the best.
We'll call him a mini monster.
Doesn't change the fact that his dad got killed for his gambling debt.
What? You mean Michael Jordan? Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Now you're conflating the two. I don't know enough about any sportsman to really comment on their personality, nor would I. Did you guys see this movie called The Brutalist?
No, I can't sit through that shit. Jesus.
I will see it one day.
I just saw I didn't talk to him. He seemed very involved with other people, but I just saw the director yesterday. And I really want to tell him that the end game of that, if you can make it to the end, it has great payoff, because part of the idea is that you've watched this character who's extremely problematic and admirable. He's a victim and also a traumatizer. He is a drug addict and also a person who is above moral standing and all this shit. You're watching, trying to figure out how you feel about the guy. And at the end of the day, it's like, what did they make? What did they do? What did they add to the world? Because to judge people based on their character, every person is flawed. Every person has angels and demons. You know what I mean? And so we're all about context now. It's crazy. We live in a culture now where we judge people immediately based on surface, and then we try to fill in the surface as fast as possible with context bullshit. And really, that's sick. It's a sick way. We have to judge everyone
fine
right away.
to me. I mean,
all right, fine.
That's just what we're doing. I don't know what's the other option.
So when Diddy died, so you just described also Diddy kind of matches all those characteristics and criteria.
Interesting.
Yeah.
When Diddy dies, he will be most known for being a guy who sampled some hits from the 80s and made it sound so crazy.
I don't know.
Discovering Notorious B.I.G.
This is how I feel. I accept everything, and whatever happens in the discourse happens in the discourse. The star of my film, Dasha, a lot of people hate her. A lot of people want her to be over. I love Dasha. She's my close friend.
Congratulations to Dasha, recently married.
Yes, congratulations. Dasha's married and having a nice life and all that. I want her to have a nice life. I also don't want her to hurt other people. virtually. I mean, she doesn't hurt anyone in real life, like physically, but she, I guess, has hurt a lot of people psychologically or something.
Sure.
And I don't like that, but I accept it. I accept that she should just do whatever she wants. I know she doesn't have ill will or ill intention, and I also accept if people hate her. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the problem is that people. I mean, if you put yourself out there, that's all they have to go on, for better or worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's just part of the discourse, is what I mean. Like there was one theater where we were showing the movie, and a lot of people were commenting and like, "Don't show this movie, fuck this theater," and all this stuff. And I felt terrible for the theater owner who probably didn't even see that stuff because he's like a boomer. Can you imagine being like a boomer and not understanding what like online activism is, or who Dasha? You don't know what Red Scare is. I mean, this is like a privilege in today's
He's not
world.
even in the Reddit.
Yeah, exactly. He's not even in the Reddit. But I accept all that stuff. That it's part of the discourse. I would never want to like squash the conversation. And so I guess whatever happens with Diddy is going to happen with Diddy, and
Hmm.
if he did lots of bad things, he should get in trouble. If he did lots of illegal, horrible things, he should get in trouble.
I agree.
I mean, the movie is about all this stuff. I suggest
Yeah.
people see the movie. If you can't see it in theaters, it's going to be out on Mubi May 16th. There's a service called Mubi, or you can rent it on Apple.
Well, how much is it on Apple though? Is it 19.99?
I don't know. I don't set the prices. I know the one time that I did set the price for my movie on Apple, I said let's sell it the first week for 99 cents. That was like I think I really pushed
It's a
for
cool idea.
because I've never bought anything on iTunes, and I was like, and I don't think it did, like, it's not like, oh, this is 99 cents. Suddenly we're gonna like a million people are gonna buy it. I was like, a million people buy it, a million people, that's $1 million.
Mhm, mhm. Even at 99 cents, a bridge too far.
Well, no, it's not it. You guys must know about this. There's sort of like there's a happy medium of pricing things where people feel like they're getting a deal, but they still feel like it's worth the money they spend.
Totally. Yeah, it's a dance. It's a
Yeah,
dance.
yeah. And I don't know what that number is, but I leave it to my distributor to figure that
Sure.
out. Yeah.
Of course.
The sweet dance of value. Speaking of prices, how long do you think until bottled oxygen will become a luxury flex in our
Yeah.
near dystopian future?
Chris, you don't get that, which is why you're coughing and yawning. You're kind of over this episode
No,
already.
Chris does get it. He is actually very aware of the canned oxygen, and he put me onto it before I discovered it.
No. He doesn't get that that's also a reference to the film. That's like one of the motifs in the film that they're always using this canned oxygen.
a
Oh, I know
motif,
that
Chris.
Chris makes the world takes, if that's what you're saying. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that.
Chris is merely upset because you stole it from him.
No, well, when did you get into it? Because I got into it in
No, I haven't.
I think it was 2022. That's when I incorporated it into the script because I saw it happening in 2020.
I might have used it. I might have used it before that, but I didn't purchase my own.
Correct.
You know, I might have used it somewhere, but then it's a big thing in Aspen, one of my favorite cities. They like to, the more expensive the hotel, they'll have it stocked for you in the room.
Wow, yeah, exactly. It's these exactly. That's where I experienced it too. Like a kind of destination wedding that was in the mountains.
I thought you were at the Telluride Film Festival or something.
I wish.
like that.
I've never invited things like that, and I can't afford to go on my own.
Well, the reason why I asked is because I enjoyed it over the winter time, and my wife really took to it. And it almost, in the film, people begin to use it in a fiend-like way.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, like, by the end of our trip in Santa Fe, my wife and I were kind of, like, looking on Amazon, like, where can we get more of this shit? Like, it's some fucking nitrous, bro.
I never used it. I can figure out how to use it. I'm really bad at things like breathing through my nose, whistle.
Sure.
No, I don't think I've ever breathed. And you could probably, the listeners can hear how nasally I sound. I think I have a deviated septum. I don't think I've ever breathed effectively through my nose.
How much coke have you done?
Very little, because it has no effect on me because of my deviated septum. It's almost like slow drip. Every nasal drug it doesn't hit me because it's just like a super slow drip. Nothing goes through.
I'm kind of the same way as you, Eugene. Do you ever mouth tape? Do you ever mouth tape while you sleep? Not a joke.
Mouth tape? No. I don't know what that means.
You should give it a try.
Is that good?
I mean, you get a piece of like kind of 3M medical tape or just any type of tape that you could put on your skin, and you just a little 4-inch chunk, put it over your mouth when you go to sleep, and then it'll force you to breathe through your nose. It's so because I have the same problem as you, and it's really been helpful for me.
I like being a mouth breather, and I think like actually there's a study that just came out from China by way of San Francisco. Like,
Ni
and
hao.
they say there are certain genetic mutations in people that make it, they can have functional life with just 3 or 4 hours of sleep. And that's like me. And I think that comes from, I thought about this the other week. When I was a kid and I slept more than 4 hours, I would always wake up with a sore throat because I'm a mouth breather.
Yeah.
And then I probably adapted along the way to be like, I don't want to wake up with a sore throat. So my body wakes me up after like 3 or 4 hours. And I basically pretty functional.
You don't
You know,
strike me as a big sleeper. That
I'm not. I
doesn't.
didn't sleep last night. My flight. I had to get to the airport. Go to the airport at 4:30 a.m. I stayed up till like whatever, packing, washing the sheets at my friend's place. So I stayed over
Mm.
and all this shit. So I
It's good
had
that you're
stuff
a
to do.
producer now because this is really like that personality type. Because like if I
Yeah.
don't have my full sleep, I'm like a
He
grumpy,
gets very
bad mood. I
ordinary
get real
guy.
ornery. So it's cool. I'm
They
envious.
do they have a portmanteau? You know, like when you get hangry, like hungry, angry. Do they have one for sleep angry? Like slangry? Does anybody ever say that or
That's
Mm.
good.
slangry? Sleep deprived, angry. I don't know.
I'll Google it.
Yeah, Google it. I'm gonna say something. The note. Oh, you know what I have? So I haven't used the whatever thing, the air. I just saw people using it at this wedding, and I thought it looked so funny, and it sounded funny. Just that huffing noise, like
It
just
does. I mean, it doesn't hit like the screen cleaner, but
yeah,
it
exactly.
does something. It does
Well, that's why
something.
I put it in the movie because it sounded and looked funny. But I have gotten addicted to this, not addicted, but to this one thing. I've never bought, I've obviously used, not obviously, but for a long time, I never used drugs. Till I was maybe 27, 28. Then someone kind of peer pressured me, but I guess I let it happen into mushrooms and like a beautiful, verdant wood. How can you resist?
I can imagine what kind of person got you to do mushrooms, and it ain't a fella.
No, here's the thing. No, no, I decided with my girlfriend at the time who also had never used drugs. It was a fella. He said, come out to this like my family cabin in the woods. It's beautiful and let's do this. And I said, okay. And my first, I don't know who's had a psychotropic or something.
Sounds like he was trying to fuck to me. You better got to be careful with
I
that
think
now.
he had a friend crush. This is
Treyway,
I think
he might have
I
invited.
think he had a friend crush. I've had a friend crush before where I didn't think it
Sure.
would turn into anything sexual. I think it's normal.
Yeah.
People admire each
Not
other.
with you. No, no. With some guys,
Well,
maybe, but
yeah, yeah. Now with me, exactly. I'm so repulsive to look at. So you
no, no.
got,
I meant how could they resist? Is what I'm saying. Like
oh,
the
so it was a kind of a reverse humor. Okay, so no. So but let me talk about, okay, my first time using mushrooms. I think this has probably happened to many, many people who have not used drugs until they were adults and
Hmm.
maybe fear drugs and the anti-drug propaganda worked on them.
I wish.
Um, the mushrooms hit, eventually, and then you just start looking at grass or your fingers and you start laughing uncontrollably. You think, oh my God, the veins in my fingers and every blade has its own ecosystem, whatever. And
Hmm.
then you can't stop laughing. And then you go into a spiral where you're like, oh my God, I will soon be like the long bearded, unhoused guy who's 60 years old, walking around still laughing, staring at his
Uh-huh.
shoes, his torn shoes and his long toenails with the fungus in them and laughing at that. And that was my big fear the first time I did the mushroom trip. And then, of course, it's subsided and everything's fine. But that like 1 hour that feels like a
Yeah.
Is
thousand
it
years.
though? Is it though?
No, that could still happen. That could still happen, but I don't think I'd be. I know. Oh, that's an interesting question. Has the trip even worn off? Is that the implication you're asking?
The implication is that you're forever changed from your first dose.
I don't think so. Unfortunately, the insights and the energy of being on those psychedelics does wear off. At least the
Hmm.
ones I've used. Like, and the people I've met who have done the ayahuasca and stuff that supposedly stays with you. These are some of the most like delusional, like egomaniacal people I've ever met. They believe that they have like transcended the ego when in fact they are the most like weirdly overconfident and like annoying egomaniac people I've ever met. And I don't know if they were like that before or not. I've never met a person that I've stayed friends with that's done ayahuasca. I've only met people in my life, and I met them post ayahuasca, and I'm like, you are insufferable.
It's one of the worst things. Plant medicine is one of the worst things that we've ever encountered as a species,
maybe
I would
maybe
say.
the types of kind of Western early adapters who would do that are just inherently like insidious because they're kind of soft colonizers or soft imperialists
Mm.
or something like that. So maybe it just draws a certain type of personality that was already kind of egomaniacal before the fact.
Well,
And
let's look at the facts though. You lay around with the homies and throw open a bucket. You know, that's not really like
who knows? I mean, these are rituals that have been like, kind of developed and evolved over time. They were related to other things beyond just this like
yeah, but when the
ritual.
homie shaman who also is a checkout guy, a happier grocer, invites you to his apartment in Fort Greene,
Right.
it ain't really. I don't believe it. I just don't believe
Right.
it.
You're going to a kooky lady's house in Malibu.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I would say. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Eugene.
No, you say something.
I would say a good,
For once, God damn it.
a healthy alternative for going on that ayahuasca journey nowadays in 2025 with our phone addictions and everything. One of those 21-day retreats where you
Yeah.
just eat turmeric, brown rice, and they take your phone away from you, and there's no music, there's no TV, and you just kind of go inward for a few weeks. I feel like the people I've talked to who go through that, just as difficult and mentally, physically taxing, but they become, enlightened and chill versus.
Does it change them though? Does
Psycho
it change
bunnies.
them? Because the phone is an incredible
No,
drug.
no,
It's an-
it doesn't.
it's-
It's all bull.
it's
It's whatever makes you feel good, but it's bullshit.
I mean, the phone is an insane drug, maybe the most insane one we've ever experienced because it is directly related to like a haptic sense, right? Your sense of touch, which is your sense of intimacy, involves itself with a virtual screen that feeds your mind and dopamine and all these receptors through touch. And on this screen, what's on this screen? It's an ultimate narcissism machine. It reflects you back to you. It makes you the central character in the social media narrative that you activate, engage in, observe, and write the story, right? It lets you communicate immediately with everyone you care about. It gamifies romance, or it just completely jumps the shark and shows you porn. This machine is insane. It completely has rewired our brains, our pleasure centers, our expectations for what is communication. And I'm not complaining. I'm just like stating like kind of facts.
No, you're right.
And I think it's an impossible addiction for us to move away from. I wish Steve Jobs was still alive so we could question him about it, because
Okay.
and it seems transitional. And I wish Kobe was still alive, even though you say he's an evil guy or whatever.
No, I don't. I wish Kobe was still alive. Just to be clear,
I wish they're all still alive.
I think what I'm trying to say
these-
though is the person who pays $10,000 for the 21-day silent retreat,
Right.
if they come out and don't say they're changed, they feel stupid.
It's like reading a really long
There's no choice.
book.
Yeah, but how can you not come out of that being changed though?
Because you go right back to your regular life. It's like
Maybe yes, maybe no. I consider it to use an analogy from the phone. A hard reset can do a lot of good, but it doesn't last forever. Eventually, you're going to have to restart your computer and phone again.
I think it could do something. I'm interested in the physical aspects as far as food intake, but I think like being silent and not entertained for 21 days, I think that just makes you annoyed, and then you go back and binge on your phone the same way. Like when you finish one of those food things, you're supposed to, broth and then fruit. You have to like re-enter polite society. And I think with the phone, there's no way to re-enter it casually. You know what I'm saying? You either use it or you don't, basically. And if you haven't used it, it's going to hit like a ton of bricks after 2 weeks.
Jason, let me ask you a question. Is this your way of finally confessing to Chris, and I'm just a third party here, that you've been on one of these 21-day retreats? Because it sounds like you have been on one or maybe even several. You can be honest with us right now.
I've never done one, but I talked to.
But you believe in the power of it.
If Jason left for 21 days, it would affect our bottom line. So we got bills. We got bills.
Businessman. I think last time I came on, I was kind of looking for some business advice, and I can't remember if you gave any to me or not. Which
I'll give you some business advice right now, Eugene. Don't make movies. Okay, that ain't gonna line your pockets.
I absolutely agree that it is
because I think you have one of the more
diminishing-
twisted, brilliant twisted, brilliant minds in our society, but maybe your powers could be harnessed for good in another medium.
No, I do think still like movies are the height of art. Like it just synthesizes all the stuff and it's the perfect intake, 90 to 120 minutes. I mean, maybe not with everyone's attention span now, but at least if you do commit to the bit of sitting there, you might feel something transcendent. It's like the perfect like runtime. It's hard to feel transcendent with audio visual in, although remember the movie Up? First 7 minutes up,
Yeah.
kind of gives you everything you need.
Had a motherfucker crying. Well, I guess
Me too.
My business energy I'm putting out into the podcast world. Hire Eugene to direct your commercial.
Yeah.
Your Super Bowl commercial.
There we go.
Eugene will honestly make
Good call, Jason.
an amazing 30 to 90 second ad.
For sure.
It's gonna make Eric Warheim look like what?
Like Nancy Myers.
Like it's gonna make Eric Warheim look like Nancy Myers.
And so honestly, he'll thank us for that. He'll be like, oh my God, thank you guys for hiring Eugene because now I'm like the new Nancy Myers.
My kitchen is so nice now after you guys hired Eugene. This is great.
No, my reps, they did say, I said, how come they're not fucking hiring me for Black Mirror, you know? Because like, it seems a little bit like I should be at least in the running.
I tell you what, if I'm your rep and I see that name pop up on the phone, I'm putting it to voicemail because I know you're calling me with some bullshit.
Wait, what name pop up? Me?
Your name, yeah. If I'm your agent, I'm like, oh, this
I don't
motherfucker's
ever
on
fucking
something.
call them. You think I want to fucking call them? They call me to be like,
What do you got for me, Johnny?
Yeah,
What do you got?
Yeah,
What do you
call
got?
them being like, what's going on? Where's my job? They fucking call me with their garbage advice or their kind of like, wait, look, just so you know, we're spinning our wheels here. And by the way, I only say it's garbage advice because I am extremely defensive. So like kind of any advice someone gives me, besides two successful businessmen like you,
Sure.
I generally try to just
Right in the toilet.
brush it away.
Right in the toilet.
Right? Brush it away.
Well, I have two quick questions before we go.
Yeah.
I know Chris has to run.
We all got to go. Okay, we're all fucking.
We all
busy.
got to run. You got to go to Ojai.
Yeah.
Do you have any quote unquote no men or no people in your life right now?
What? Define the terms.
Like the opposite of a yes man.
Oh, yeah, I do. Well, I do like kind of like, no, yeah, I'm having a lot of struggle with this because as a producer,
Okay.
I found it challenging to work with artistic, these artiste directors. I really want to respect their vision, but at the same time, I get frustrated, with that part of the collaboration. It's complicated. Now the producer has to become the director with his producing partners, where we all like kind of, bond over the struggles and tribulations of this dynamic. Now I have shifted back to the director role, and now they're giving me like notes. And the part of my brain that remembers what it was like being a producer is like, wow, I really feel for these guys, because the other part of my brain is like, fuck you guys. Like, you don't know what the right, you don't fuck up my movie right now. I got this vision, So, but I did make a note in my notepad, which is listen to Alex and Ricardo, because I'm so defensive when it comes to stuff. That's like on top of my notes. So they're my no men.
A mantra.
Yeah.
Alex and Ricardo.
That's we can't end it on that. You want to end it on that? That's,
no.
oh, okay.
I mean, I have more questions. We can go through
Yeah,
them.
that's not, I mean, you think everybody, who's your guys' no men? Are you guys each other's no men, or are you guys each other's yes men?
I think we're pretty collaborative and come to informed decisions as often as possible, to be completely honest.
I think we both say yes and no to each other a pretty even amount.
Yeah, like an equal. Yeah, we don't. No one's a. I think people would assume someone's a poo-pooer, but it's not really like that.
Do you guys each independently bring ideas to each other, and then like kind of like,
Yeah.
is it a pretty even,
Yeah.
like McCartney Lennon type of thing?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Exactly.
I would prefer to be George Harrison just because he's the most talented, but I understand your analogy.
The reason that band was so successful all around is because I think all the guys were really talented. I mean, I think
That's honest. That's probably true, and that's why I say the same about Maroon 5, and I don't know why people don't bring that up more. It's the same thing.
I've
Yeah.
met one of those guys a bunch of times.
Oh, I bet you have, and I know which one.
He's an incredibly sweet guy with nice houses every time I meet him. And he seems like he loves music. Like the only thing he's ever talked to me
Yeah.
about is music. And he's got like 4 side bands, and he's just like rocking for joy, like jumping for joy with music.
His dream in life came true. He gets to play,
Yeah,
do
it's
what he
sick.
loves.
All right. Hey, I don't know about these things. I don't get involved in like gossip. I've never really been a part of like a scene. I don't have a group of guy friends. In fact, like actually the joy I derive from coming on this show is like I feel like I'm hanging out with like two bros and we can like bro code, but I don't
Yeah.
ever flex this muscle in like my brain or whatever. So it's actually like a weird treat to be here with you guys.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate you guys having me on again.
We love you. We love you, Eugene.
Let's
You're
not
great.
let's not end it on the Maroon 5 talk.
We won't. Couple rapid fires. What's your Del Taco order?
I only go to like stands and trucks. I don't go to places like that.
Okay.
I live in LA. I don't go to like fast food like Mexican.
Okay.
There's so many amazing like people who just start up their little stand like and it's always so amazing. It's a gift.
Okay. I agree with you, Eugene. There was a cameo for it in the film. I just wondering if you had a little anecdote for it.
Oh, Del Taco cameo in the film. That is just a purely a production designer idea. Frankie Palumbo, shout out.
If your name is Frankie Palumbo, you're a star. You're not art department with a name like
Francesca. It was just Francesca and Zach Miller. Just two people, the whole department.
Okay.
Just two people. Just two regular people.
There's two geniuses, yeah.
Okay, last question real quick. Do you think the elite use numerology? And if so, how so?
Look, here's the thing. Imagine like 10,000 years ago, okay? When night falls, 90% of people go to sleep. Then 10% of people just look up at the stars or something, and maybe 1% of that 10% come up with like a theory of what the stars mean, how to connect them, what the distance is, whatever. And then you have like, 1,000 competing theories, and then two of them catch on. And then people have to decide this one sounds good and this one doesn't. And then you come up with a belief system, all this shit. Like our minds are built to connect things, and like the main question that I'm posing in the movie, or one of them, is like, what if you could take all the experiences you had and all the memories that we've offloaded onto our phones with our photos and videos and shit and find a new meaning for it? What, because haven't you ever gotten that thing a year ago or 4 years ago today, this memory happened and it's like a picture of you and your ex and it kind of hits different? I was like, what if you could make a movie where like the end of the movie suddenly hit different and all the experiences you've seen as a viewer and everything you lived through with your boyfriend, your girlfriend suddenly meant something else and could like unlock something that you've been waiting for, which is to fuck. So that was and that might not make any sense to anyone who hasn't seen the film yet.
For the listeners at home, Eugene lifted his arms up and thrust his pelvis forward when he said that.
Yeah.
Just
like a member of O-Town.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But hopefully that entices some people to check out the film because it is a kind of big puzzle numerology thing, but it also I think hopefully will resonate with people, on an emotional and funny way.
Yeah, so. I think you've invented cancellation kink. It's a new.
God bless you, Eugene.
Hey, those are not my intentions. But when the art's out in the world, we let all the perverts and freaks.
That's a lie. I can look at you and tell you love to make men hard. Thank you for joining us on How Long Gone, Eugene.
Thanks for having me, guys.
You want to know who's going to buy this shit on iTunes? It's the Perfs. Eugene, the film comes out in a little over a week, available on Mubi.
Yeah.
Rented on Apple. And if you live in Ojai, go to the screening tonight.
If you live in LA, come to the next week, 9th through the 15th at the Lumiere Cinema. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Eugene.
All right.
Good to see you, bro.
Thanks,
bro.
guys.
Good chatting
soon,
with you.
man.
Thanks for having me.
Tell Brett we said hi.
I will.
I've been thinking about love. I love you. I don't love you no more. I don't know. You either have it or you don't. Either way, I feel confused and alone.